So today we're going to be removing this shock from a 2006 Honda VTX 1300R. It's the same for all Honda VTX model bikes and most bikes out there. We're going to remove this shock because these bushings here have failed. I've already pre-loosened the bolts and they're not lining up properly anymore and they're going to make for a hard ride. So break your bolts free. In this case, 12 millimeter will break your bolts loose. And remove your bolts. You just set those off to the side. Now, the shock is captured. It's not going anywhere, okay? It's on two studs. So we're going to take a pry tool and a rag so we don't damage. And we're going to put it back in here gently. And we're going to ease down, slide it down a little more. And just like that, we can pull the upper shock mount off. Now once you have the upper one off, you've got some leverage and you can just kind of wiggle it and work it a little bit. And there you go. Now, if you look at these bushings, you can see they're ovaled out real bad. That's what you don't want. And this one is actually splitting. Okay, so let's go remove these bushings. So we're going to go over here to our workbench. And we're going to set the shock down. Now, there's several ways to remove these bushings. The way I like is to take a pair of needle nose pliers, put it against the edge, use your thumb here, and push in while pushing down. Once you have the bushing, grab it, spin the pliers, and push down, and it'll come right out just that easy. These are our new bushings. You notice that the new bushing is green. And the old bushing here, which is split and coming apart, is black. This is rubber. This is polyurethane, or a polyurethane blend. This comes from the F model VTX. And right here is your part number. And that is the one you want to get because they hold up much better. Okay, so we'll just set that off to the side. Now, these bushings are very easy to install with no major tools. You don't need a vise. You don't need any craziness to get these bushings in. All right, you remove this one using the same method. There we go, and it's out. All you need to install these bushings is a hammer and a work surface. So we're going to take some grease. In this case, we're just using shock boot grease, which is dielectric grease, which is safe for use on rubbers and urethanes. And we're going to put just a dab of that on that bushing, just like that, okay? And we're going to need a paper towel here to clean up our mess when we're done. Now, take your finger and just kind of smear that around the bushing. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're just trying to lubricate the bushing a little bit here. And this is the most important part. This tapered face, you need to get some grease, some of this dielectric grease on this tapered face. Okay? And just wipe your finger off. Now, take the shock, put it over the edge of a table, set the bushing nice and square right above it. Then just take your hammer. Okay, I'm right-handed, so let me do this the way I should be doing this. Okay, I'm right-handed, and I can't hit that for shit. So, once you've got this square, and I'm actually going to move this over just a little bit so we're closer to the edge of my work surface where it's a little stronger. Once you've got that square on there like that, you're just going to take this and drive it right in. And that's all you got to do. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. Then just wipe off the excess grease. And if in this case you see it didn't go fully in, just take your hammer, a couple little light taps, and now it's squarely seated in the bore. And that's all you got to do. It's really easy. We'll do the other one again. A little bit of dielectric grease, or any grease that's safe for use on rubbers and urethanes. As long as it's safe for use on rubber and urethane, you're fine. Most spark plug boots are made from rubber or urethane. So dielectric grease is my choice just because I know it's safe for use on rubber and urethane. And once again, we'll just set this here, set it in the shock board nice and square. And we'll just take our hammer and drive it right in. And again, it's not fully squared, so a couple of taps with the hammer. And then we'll just wipe it off. And now you can see that that is squared in the bore and it's installed correctly. Now we'll go put it back on the bike. Now, this shock has a correct orientation. You want this sticker facing the back of the bike. So it will install like this, but now you can't see your adjustments. So you want to install it like that. I'm going to get it lined up in place and just tap it on and tap it on. Now, it's not going to just slide right on. So you will need your persuader. Now, when you're working on a bike, always use a dead blow style hammer, and always use a hammer that, or a hammer that has a soft face like a rubber mallet. And all we have to do is lightly tap and lightly tap. Okay. Now, those aren't fully all the way on there, and that is perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and get our bolts, and we're going to start those by hand because the bolts will suck the shock the rest of the way on the bike. As long as you can get a few good turns first. Otherwise, you'll strip it. We will need a 12mm socket and a ratchet. Snug them up nice and tight. They're not actually holding the weight of the bike, so they don't have to be stupid tight. I'm sure Honda has spec for what you need to tighten these to, but I'm not sure what it is. I tighten them until I'm happy. I'm happy, so. And there you go. Now, obviously you've gotten your shock a little dirty there, so well, clean your shock up, get your fingerprints off a bit. And to do this will require that you have a motorcycle jack. You cannot do this without some form of motorcycle jack because you will never get the shocks back on if you're able to get them off. They have to be unloaded. So this tire is not touching anything. As you can see, I can spin it with my foot. Okay? And that will allow you to get them on and off. Do one at a time only. I've already done this one. And that's all you need. I have the seat off for a different reason. So that's it. That is how you change the shock bushings on any Honda VTX model bike.